Alright, welcome back everyone. I know I'm not in full goth attire today, but I woke up and I was feeling really lazy. Apparently, when you only have a sliver of time, a minute, wasting 1 second is quite a lot of time to waste. So I kind of woke up and just kind of started into this. There is a lot of information that I'm missing. There were graphs that I was looking for, and I'll go over that in the end. A lot of this could be helped, though, if, for instance, when there's a particular set of information that I'm looking for, if that was just given to me directly instead of having to look at a needle inside of a haystack and try to cover the haystack when the people I'm talking to are only focusing on a minute detail such as a needle within the haystack. I don't have time for an 8-hour lecture or to read an entire textbook about any given subject. I don't have that kind of time. I have to work for a living to pay my bills. So, this is about the divide of Poland. Poland was divided by Hitler's Nazi party and the Communist Party in a really most interesting way. So, I'd like to show this graph for you. Well, really, it's a map of how Poland was divided. You see, the one, I forget if this is a mirror image or not, because sometimes I say left and it goes to your right, and if I go right, it goes to your left. I don't know. From my perspective, though, the lower image, the image on the right, would be considered Poland A, and the image on the left would be considered Poland A, or B. Yeah, so there is some missing information as I go through this, and I would like to pull up graphs and other maps that show relevant data to the point that I'm bringing up, which is that because of Poland, the occupation of Hitler's Nazism and the occupation of communism, it has affected Poland socially and economically and politically even today, which the Catholic Church also plays a role in that, and that would be a completely different video. So, I'm not going to focus too much on that. I'm going to focus on this because I find it really interesting. So, the first thing I'd like to talk about is the separation. And I have a clip of that right here. This is the very interesting part of Poland and where it gets split. The differences between Poland's A and Poland B is particularly evident in the voting patterns of the two regions. During the 1990s, Poland A tended to favor the Democratic Left Alliance as a secular, socially liberal de facto successor in post-1989 politics to the former Communist Party. Poland B, on the other hand, voted either PSL, economically liberal, but socially conservative, on the Solidarity right-wing camp, socially conservative. Since 2005, Poland saw a realignment in its political system. Residents of Poland A have supported the Liberal Party civic platform. Residents of Poland B, on the other hand, tend to support the National Conservative Law and Justice Party. And here we can see, here's Poland A and Poland B. Poland A was occupied by communism. Poland B was occupied by Nazism. And I'd also like to point out in this map Poland A has very little industry, whereas Poland B has a lot of industry. This is a result of combining that mixed economy of National Socialism from Hitler's regime and then the communist just socialism and a lack of production. I find that interesting. Ever since then, Poland, I believe, has been trying to pull themselves out, get their GDP online. Ultimately, though, altogether, it's not a bad country. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that. I guess we're seeing how many people we can piss off today. Seems like every time I make videos involving Nazis and communists, people get pissed off. Not sure why. But, so, the point that I'm leaning here is that the influence between these two groups is prominent. And that guess which side would seem to be more socially liberal. I don't want to use the word progressive, because progressive has been annexed or really been appropriated by the authoritarian left. They seem to think that communism or socialism is some form of progression, and it's not. It's been done, it's been tried, and it would be actually degressing, not progressing. And not to say that there's not different types of progressives out there. There are. But I think that that term anymore, progressive, gets misunderstood. I'm talking about being socially liberal, being for things like pro-gay rights, pro-abortion, pro-marijuana legalization, egalitarianism and humanitarianism, versus some very conservative aspects. Holding on to the better times, which is usually the conservative standpoint, is in favor of traditional values and standards. So, before I go any further, because I do have a bit about what happened with Nazis and the Catholics and the Catholic Church. I do have something about that. But, well, I guess we'll go ahead and play it. This is about Nazis and the Catholic clergy, a short snippet about that. I don't know that it's terribly short, though, but here we go. This is a very brief, try long overview of the Nazi persecution of Catholic Church in Poland. Now, it is fair to say that the Nazi occupation did provide a lot of conflicts for the Catholic Church in Poland. There were many Catholic clergy members who were sent off to concentration camps and were also persecuted by the Nazis. And to be fair, the communists were doing the same thing. The following summer, the A and B, no, I forget where it was in this. But both the Communist Party and the Nazi Party went against the Catholic Church. Although the Catholic Church some members of the clergy did team up with communists to try and overthrow the Nazis, because the Nazis were very, very hostile. The Nazi plan of the Poland entailed the destruction of the Polish nation. This necessarily required attacking the Polish Church, particularly in those areas annexed to Germany. According to Hitler biographer Ian Kershaw, in his scheme, the Germanization of Eastern Europe, Hitler made clear that there would be no place in this utopia for the Christian churches. Historically, the Catholic Church had been a leading force in Polish nationalism against foreign
domination. Thus, the Nazis targeted clergy, monks, and nuns in their terror campaigns to eliminate Polish culture. Nazi ideology was hostile to Christianity, and Hitler held the teachings of the Catholic Church in contempt. Hitler's chosen deputy and private secretary, Martin Bormann, was firmly anti-Christian. I forget where it says in here that basically... Oh, yeah, maybe here in the division, the German military control lasted until 25th of October 1939. Following this, Germany directly annexed Polish territories along Germany's eastern border, west. A bunch of Slavic shit I can't pronounce. In the city of Danzig, the remainder of Nazi-occupied Poland came under administration of so-called general government. That just seems like a really fancy way of general government in German. A police-run mini-state under SS control and the rule of Nazi lawyer Hans Frank, which wrote, Davies became the lawless laboratory of Nazi racial ideology and in due course the base of the Nazi concentration camps. Yet here Nazi policy at the church. Okay. But still, there is something in here that does talk about how the Catholic Church, the clergy members, were also targeted by the communists. So... But that's not to say that the Catholics didn't play a part in the invasion of Poland from the Nazi Party, which is outlined under here. No. Pope Pius. Actually, Poland's alliance to the papacy gave its plight an international dimension, of which both Nazis and Soviet occupying powers were aware. In Poland, the church was well organized and the clergy were respected. Garlinsky wrote that the Polish church's 1,000-year link with Rome afforded it some protection. The German Reich contained 30 million Catholics who recognized the Pope's authority. And each German ruler, however strongly opposed to Rome, had to take account for this. Pope Pius succeeded in March 1939 on the eve of World War II. The new pope faced aggressive foreign policy of Nazism. So, and this is another interesting thing that plays into the division of Poland, is the Catholic Church's persuasion over Poland. And that's a different story than what I'm going on. I'm going on how Poland got split by Nazism and communism, and you can see how that has affected Poland, but the church also plays a part in the social aspects of Poland today. So it's not just Nazism and communism, the Catholic Church plays a part in it as well.
So you can see already the effect that it's had on Poland. So we have Poland A, which was occupied by communism. We have Poland B, which was occupied by Nazism. And as you can see, one is more industrious and the other is more socially liberal. So I would like to show a map of the GDP. Now, there is a more updated map than this one, but this is what I could find. And there's charts and things out there, but I'm not looking for charts. I'm looking for geographically. So this map is the most current one I could find. And not to my surprise, but it would seem that Poland A has a lower GDP and Poland B has a higher GDP. And that has to do with the... Now, I wouldn't necessarily call Hitler's fascism to be a mixed economy. He was a National Socialist, but there was a lot more industry to be done, and there wasn't entirely socialistic like communism was, whereas you see the communist side of Poland has not been very industrious whatsoever. Well, not whatsoever. There are industrious parts of Poland A, but not as many as Poland B. Now, it also played a... Get that map out of here. It also played a big impact on the social political view of the people. So when we talk about being socially liberal or being socially conservative, not surprising, Poland A, which was occupied by communists, are more socially liberal. And here's the map for that. And Poland B, which was occupied by the Catholic Church. Well, all of Poland was at one point occupied by Catholic Church. And honestly, like, the Catholic Church played a big part in the stagnation of Poland towards being socially liberal. But so did the Nazi Party, and we're focusing on that. But because you can see that the Great Divide, I mean, like, it's pretty obvious. Poland B is extremely conservative compared to Poland A. And it was occupied by Hitler's Nazi fascism. Interesting. Now, I wish I could show you geographical... Get that map out of here. I wish I could show you some more information, because this really delves even deeper than you know, because it's really, really indicative of how the people think. And this really plays into the whole concept that culture is a learned thing. It's not something you are born with. You learn it from your environment. It's something you learn. So Poland B is more conservative. Poland A is more liberal. Poland B was occupied by Nazis, and Poland B was occupied by communists. So, like with the Catholic Church thing, though, they're still really, really fighting for more secularism to this day than pretty much any other Western civilization. And Poland is getting up to a point where their GDP is at a point where we could consider them to be a first world country. They use capitalism, and I'm not sure if they have a mixed economy. It might be a mixed economy. I don't know. There's a lot of information. Like I said, I would really like to see geographically which parts of Poland are more in favor of things like abortion, which parts of Poland geographically are more in favor of gay rights, which parts of Poland geographically are more in favor of marijuana legalization. I would like to see geographically, and I've seen those graphs before, but you're just gonna have to trust me. I can't get those graphs back, and I really wish I could. So, and I would also like to say that this is brought about from the awesome Polish kid. And I would love to leave you a link to his blog in the description, but unfortunately the link that I have to his blog is now a dead link. So if I could have the updated one, I will gladly put that in the description, and you could visit his blog. He is extremely intelligent. In fact, he is being recognized for him mapping out political ideologies, and he created one of his own, and it's going to go on to display to show how, logically speaking, social justice is a bad idea. And so I'd like to get his link and put it in the description so you could visit his blog site. But this seems to be a passion of his, and I promised to do a video about these things many, many times over. Problem is usually when I talk to him, he wants me to read hours and hours and hours worth of stuff, and it's like, well, no, I'm not trying to make, a 3-hour long documentary. nor do I want my entire channel to be dedicated to the history of Poland, because ultimately what he's talking about doing is creating a channel dedicated to Poland. That's just not what I'm trying to do here. But I can raise awareness of this, because right now, Polish people in the EU are being denied fast visas to the United States, which is another form of activism that him and his brother are partaking in. And I would like to cover more about that. But again, I am missing information, and I'm being bogged down by tidbits, like of tiny bits of very, very refined information instead of an umbrella piece of information that is easily presentable and consumable to a wide audience. Like I said, I'm not trying to make a documentary here. So the Catholic Church absolutely did play an important role on the conservatism of the Polish nation, or the Polish country. So I do have a little bit about that, so we'll read through that real quick.
Here is information regarding the Catholic Church in Poland, its influence over Poland. Gives a little bit of history, a number of Catholics in Poland, and you think things having to do with religion. So we were talking about conservatism, and we have this little chart over here. This has to do with the dossiers. But this is where I'm missing information, is that I would like to see a map of Poland that shows sort of progressive, which parts of Poland are more likely to have people who are more in favor of things like gay rights, abortion, marijuana legalization, and things like that. But that information is missing. I cannot find a map that shows this. But I would be willing to bet that it would be Poland A that is more quote-unquote progressive. I don't like using the word progressive because it's been appropriated by the authoritarian left, so more liberal, I should say. This is probably going to be Poland A, whereas Poland B is more likely to be more conservative. This is what I'd be willing to bet, but I don't know because I cannot find the map with that information.
All right, so when I say that, to understand mixed economies and how they're helpful to certain countries, one need look no further than Poland as a prime example. Because it's quite evident and clear that Poland was split into two different sort of ideas because of the occupation of Hitler's fascism, Nazis, and the communist regime from Poland A. So it's absolutely, and I don't think any map that I've looked at and any information that you look at absolutely recognizes Poland in these two different descriptions. And that they absolutely have had a profound influence over the culture and the frame of mind, that the stances that people take towards economics and so being socially conservative or socially liberal. So if you're looking for social liberalism, you will not find it within the Nazi Party. And if you're looking for economic well-being, you will not find it through communism. But through social liberalism, this is where, I'm the one that is against fascism, the whole neo-Nazi idea. I'm against that. I'm against pure socialism. I advocate for mixed economy, although here in my country, in the United States, a mixed economy is really difficult, even though we really have a mixed economy because we have social programs. They just suck. They suck tremendously. They're awful. They're terrible. They have low budgets. They're like people sit there and try to tell me that all this money is going towards them, and it's like 58% of American citizens are kind of like in the upper lower class field, and that's really bad. That's not good. About the only social program that seems to be functioning well in the United States is food stamps. SSI, SSDI is a joke. Foster care is a joke. How we take care, the VFW is a joke. Food banks are a joke. You know food banks are a joke. Listen, when you go to a food bank and you get a canned good, you know how long canned goods stay good for? When you get a canned good that expired like 3 years ago. Okay, that's how bad a food bank here is in the United States. That's terrible that you can go and get canned goods that expired 3 years ago. Okay, botulism poisoning, anyone? No thanks. I'm good on that. So I don't know where people get this information about our social programs here in the United States, that SSI and SSDI is sucking up all this money, because if you look at how our taxes are divvied out, like a good percentage of it, like almost 50%, goes to defense, and education is a tiny sliver, the VFW is a tiny sliver, everything else is a tiny itty-bitty little sliver. And I understand why that is, but I mean, like, come on. Like, we can do better than that. We can do better than that with our social programs. And you want to talk about a social program that's really important? What about foster care? We're really skimping on that. Like, foster care is a giant fuck up. Like, wow, they fucked it up so hardcore, it's unbelievable. And, I mean, you know, like, we're going to talk about how our social programs in here are just draining money. Well, they're not. They're not getting hardly any funding at all to even function properly. But that's besides the point. Once a psychiatrist told me that the reason why mixed economies work so well in European countries was because of communist and Nazi socialist influence, believe it or not. So when capitalism came back into practice, they decided to keep some of the socialistic aspects, and there you go, mixed economies. So it's not that mixed economies don't work, but the real point that I'm trying to strike home is pure socialism is garbage. Communism is garbage. The Hitler's idea of fascism and Nazism is garbage. It's all garbage. It creates problems, very direct ones. So it doesn't take much more than common sense to really figure out how that all. Now there still is a branch of conservatism in Poland that is due to the influence of the Catholic Church, and which there are many secularists in that country, atheists, that are still trying to convince people for a more secularist society. And it's interesting to see. I would love to talk more in depth about Poland. I am missing too much information to do that. I am probably talking well over my head at this point, because Poland has not been a point of interest for me. Although I do find it extremely interesting looking at the divide, because neither side, I mean, both sides had some good to contribute, and both sides had even more bad to contribute than anything, basically breaking Poland in two. And it's just stupid. So I'm not the expert on this. The awesome Polish kid would be the expert on this. And like I said, as soon as I get a relative link to current information, to his current blog, I will gladly put that in the description below. But until then, you're just going to have to take my word for it. It had a very direct negative impact on Poland as a whole, of both communist occupation and Nazi occupation from Poland. Poland is still suffering from that to this day. And that's unfortunate, because they could have been a capitalist country with very well pronounced social programs, like all the other European countries at this point, had they not been occupied the way that they were. And ultimately, the Catholic Church royally fucking their country over. which the Catholic Church does. So that was the other point of contention, I think, was that were the Catholics working with Nazis? And the answer to that is, yeah, some of them were, some of them weren't. So that seems to be polarized, and I'm not sure how to respond on that. Like I said, I think I'm talking well over my head at this point. There's a lot of information that I've had available, but like I said, it's been, like, basically I've been shown a needle and then a haystack piled on top of it and told to keep focusing on the needle. And it's like, no, but all this other information is relevant. The umbrella is more relevant than the nitty-gritty that's underneath it. And that's the point that I'm getting at. And you know, like, if you're trying to get that information out to someone, I'm speaking to somebody specifically in this, if you can't tell. If you want to do that, then it's more like I say, okay, give me this information, you give me that information, not give me an 8-hour lecture that you would get at an Ivy League university. That is how you bore somebody to tears, and how you get lost in all the little straws instead of the entire haystack. So, I'm not Polish. I am not creating an entire YouTube channel, creating video after video after video about the history of Poland and the social, economic, and political aspects of Poland and how history has affected it today. That is an entire channel. You could do hundreds of videos about that. I am only going to do one video at a time. So, just for time's sake, sometimes it's just easier to say, here's some relevant information. You can make a video out if you want. Now I'm stuck going, I know this is a thing, but I can't represent it properly. I'm sorry, I can't. I can tell you it's a thing, but I can't represent my assertion properly. I can't do it. I can't. I don't have the things to show you to proclamate my position. I don't have it. But I can tell you for sure that that information is out there, that yes, indeed, the occupation of Nazism and communism of Poland has been a terrible thing on Poland, and that the Polish people and Poland has suffered because of it. I can promise you that. Social, politically, economically, they have suffered from it. All right, so awesome, amazing Polish kid, please give me an updated link to your blog so I can put that in the description below. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Sorry I'm lacking in so much information. I've been so lazy. I mean, I got up and didn't even bother putting on full attire or anything like that, and just started making videos as quickly as possible so I could get them out. And that's the way that I have to roll. I have to go quick, because I don't have a lot of time. Oh, like, share, subscribe, comment, hit the bell button on any channel you're subscribed to. With that, out!